Now I'd like to open the meeting to the sharing of testimonies of healing through Christian Science. Bill.
I'm so grateful for God's blessings of our church. Recently, there was a large spot on our foyer carpet. I first tried hand cleaning, then using a steam cleaner with little results. I then contacted our professional carpet cleaners for help, and they came out. I also got practitioner help. They said if it still needed more work, they'd come at the same reduced rate. When it dried, the spot needed more help, so a second cleaning was scheduled. I reported the progress to the practitioner, and she said, "We'll expect all is well." They came the second time and said there would be a courtesy call, no charge, and to please report the progress. The next day, I reported that all is well to the practitioner and to the professionals. Thank you, God, for your love and practitioners for support. Clean carpet there was only one charge, not two, and all is well. They will also spend a little time with me with tips for cleaning spots in the future. What a perfect unfoldment. What a complete blessing. Thank you, God.
Thank you. Ann from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to this church. I'm very grateful for the guidance, patience, and love given to me by a practitioner of this church. My practitioner has helped me to see the importance of being consistent and obedient in my study of Christian Science and to never give in to the suggestion that I could ever be less than the perfect idea of God. Recently, I was feeling under the weather, and when the suggestion of discouragement tried to creep into my thought, I held to God's allness. I remained persistent in this truth, and in a few days, the difficulty disappeared. I'm so grateful for the many blessings I've received, and I'm so grateful to our Father, Mother, God, Christ Jesus, Mary Baker Eddy, and for the beautiful readings tonight and this service. Thank you.
Thank you. Pilar from New York, go ahead. Pilar, we don't hear you. Maybe your phone's on mute?
You hear me now?
Okay, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I just want to express gratitude for all the teachings of this church, for the support of the practitioner and her patience with me about making me see what I need to know in order to get over any evil or any false belief that may come and try to take dominion of me. I'd be very grateful. I have been able to apply some of these teachings at work, and I have seen very good results and excellent situations have turned around, and have everything has come out perfect. I'm very grateful for the teachings of Mary Baker Eddy, for this church, for the practitioners in this church, and for the readings. They were wonderful tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elizabeth from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you for the readings. They're very powerful. A few weeks ago, a woman who was scheduled to stay at our property with her family called me in tears. She could barely talk, but she told me that they would have to cancel their week vacation because her 3-year-old granddaughter had been diagnosed with leukemia, and it was found near her heart, which made it dangerous to treat successfully. She talked for a while, and I listened, and at the end of the conversation, I told her God created this little girl perfect in His image and that she was safe. She had mentioned trusting in God, and I told her I would keep her in my prayers, and she thanked me. And the next day I wrote out a treatment for her, in which I affirmed that she was innocent, pure, and perfect, perfect child of God, and that her true identity is spiritual, that the illness can't attach itself to her because it has no source, no cause, no basis, since God is the only source of her being, that God knows her and that His knowing is the only fact. And from Science and Health, a spiritual idea has not a single element of error, and this truth removes properly whatever is offensive. A few days ago, I emailed the grandmother and just asked how things were going with her granddaughter. And she texted me right away with lots of sweet photos of her and said, quote, "She is doing amazing. God has been with her at every turn. She has had no sickness at all. Her appetite has been endless and she has gained 3 pounds. Her white cell count has dropped from 92,000 to 6,400. They will retest her bone marrow in 27 days. She tells us all the time that Jesus says she is healed and is all better. She has been able to run for the first time in 3 months and got to ride a bicycle outside for her therapy. God is a good and faithful Father, and as much as we love and adore her, He loves her even more. Thanks for the prayers. It is moving mountains." And then she quoted from Mark 11:22 to 24. "And Jesus answering saith unto them, Have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne from Vermont, go ahead.
Good evening. What a beautiful service and testimony so far. Today's Plainfield calendar reads, "Gratitude and discouragement cannot exist together." This idea was brought up in a recent roundtable discussion. The simplicity of it is very powerful. Recently, I found a copy of Love is the Liberator magazine from November 2015 and found this short piece by Jim Dybel. I'd like to read it. A healing for all. I heard a testimony in a Wednesday evening meeting that I call a healing for all, and it went essentially as follows. Each meeting, a lady would get up and express gratitude for that which she was grateful. She expressed gratitude for the church services, church testimony meetings, for the sidewalks, for the curbs, for the trees, for grass. The list to some present seemed endless. A number of the church members objected to these testimonies, not to the lady, but to others, as a form of gossip. One evening, the lady stood up and provided a healing message for all by stating, "I wish to express gratitude for Christian Science." She paused and then added, "It has healed me of cancer just by being grateful. Grateful for everything." My practitioner reminded me of the need for gratitude in all that I said and did. That was such an amazing testimony. And I've read this to just about everyone who has come through my home recently. It goes straight to the heart. Thank you, Jim. I'm so grateful for our Love is the Liberator magazine. It is beautiful in its purity of the message of Mrs. Eddy's Christian Science, the comforter that Jesus spoke of. Its words go straight to the heart, and one can feel the healing Christ. This is the pure Christian Science that this church is striving to preserve and share through its wonderful outreach. And I can't thank Mrs. Eddy and all the people at Plainfield enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Florence from Georgia, go ahead.
This is Day Day. Thank you. I'm thankful for the following Bible quote that was mentioned during a recent roundtable discussion. It reads, "Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation." This is one that I was not previously familiar with, though it has been a tremendous blessing to get to know it. This week I've been challenged by the aggressive suggestion to worry about how and when certain things will work out. The quote mentioned has been coming to me several times a day, and what it means to me is that there is nothing that I am to worry about, and more importantly, that I am to thank God continuously for everything He's doing, no matter what seems to be going on or not going on, and no matter what I seem to be lacking at any given time. So I was thrown off track at the beginning of the week, and I began to worry, feel down, and physically ill. Remembering this passage woke me up and forced me to regain my joy and peace, which I've since been working to maintain. I've learned through Christian Science that divine love always meets every need. And this comes with the understanding that each need is met in the perfect way and at the perfect time. I'm grateful for the strength that I've gained, which allows me to better defend myself against aggressive mental suggestion in order to receive every needed healing. And I'm so grateful to God for every opportunity to demonstrate what I'm learning in Christian Science through the teachings in this church. Thank you so much for tonight's readings, for all of the testimonies, and for all of the work that continues to go on here. It's life-changing, and I'm forever grateful.
Thank you. Jeremy, go ahead.
I am very grateful for the way that Christian Science is positively affecting all areas of my life. Recently, I was making dinner for my kids, and while cutting open an avocado, my knife slipped and went right into my hand, stabbing into the bone. Instantly, I closed my eyes and remembered my practitioner telling me these words from Science and Health by Mary Baker Eddy, quote, "Whatever it is your duty to do, you can do without harm to yourself," end quote. I stood still and knew that there was no reason I should suffer for the act of making dinner. I thanked God for His constant protection, and then took a paper towel and wrapped my hand in it. Then I grabbed another knife and finished preparing the dinner. After we ate, I took the paper towel off and saw one little drop of blood had come out. There was a tiny wound, but it didn't hurt at all, nor was it bleeding. I thank God for His protection, I thank God that His protection is real, and for this practical science, which is always up to any task. I'm so grateful for this church and for practitioner support, which is ensuring that these teachings are with me when I need them, which is always. Thank you.
Thank you. Fairley from Maryland, go ahead.
Thank you for the readings on the divine law of justice. It's wonderful to understand God's law, God's laws, and they're so protecting and so significant. And thank you for all these testimonies that are so beautiful and so encouraging. Yesterday it was reported that we were going to have an entire day of rain and flooding, which we were warned could take a car off the road, and it was to last all day. My husband and I were supposed to deliver important papers for our son, who was out of town, to an office quite a long way on the other side of the District of Columbia from where we live in Maryland. And since we thought the rain would be worse later, we drove off mid-morning, but in fact, the rain turned out to be torrential. So we began to feel we were not going to do as we had planned. We were not going to be able to because it would be too dangerous. My husband was driving, so when he said we better not try it, he turned around to go back home. But I asked God and prayed for the right answer of what we should do. And as I prayed and understood to say, peace, be still to the vapid fury of mortal mind, that seemed to be what was going on. So I was led to say, let's try to go a few more blocks. Instead of turning back home, we did turn back home. I said, let's go around again one more time and see if for sure we can't go on. And as I was led by God, the rain seemed to become less and less. And I said, look, we'll go on a little out of our neighborhood, and it seemed like we should go on, for God was leading us. And soon the rain began to dissipate, so that as we went on the delivery, we came back to our home, there was no rain at all. So the predictions were really entirely wrong, and was very grateful because it was a very particularly important mission that we were going on. So I'm very grateful for God, for Jesus, and for all we're learning of Christian Science at the Plainfield Church. I'm grateful for the help and the direction that my practitioner at Plainfield has given me for a number of years. And I'm grateful to be here tonight, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Linda.
I'd like to express my gratitude for a healing I had last week. I called a practitioner, and we were talking about some things, and I mentioned I had a pain in the middle of my back. And we had a discussion, and what I took from it was a reminder about my reactions to others' behaviors. And she did make me laugh, which kind of broke it up a little bit, and I appreciated that very much. And also the alert to pay attention to how I'm feeling about people around me. And then she always ends reminding me to keep myself in the love of God. And by the end of that day, the pain had lifted. I don't even remember what time it was, but I had a long car ride, and I had to sit for a long period, and it never bothered me. And in the past, when I had this pain, this was not the result. And so I'm incredibly grateful for this lesson, and being mindful of how I'm thinking about others, keeping myself in the love of God. And I'm also going to express my gratitude for the readings tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol.
I'm very grateful for God's care. There's nothing too small that God can't take care of. I was driving home the other night in a torrential rainstorm, and it was so heavy that I could barely see the road in front of me. And one of our hymns came to thought, hymn number 95. He leadeth me, O blessed thought, O words with heavenly comfort fraught. Whate'er I do, where'er I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. And I just began singing that hymn. And just a few feet later, a car pulled in from a side street and drove right in front of me, all the way past my house. So I was able to follow him in his taillights the whole way, and I was perfectly comfortable and perfectly safe. And I am just so very grateful to God. He's right there to answer any call. And even though it kind of seemed like a small thing, it was awfully big to me. And I am very, very grateful. And I've been singing that hymn ever since. And it's appropriate for so many things. I'm just very, very grateful, and so grateful for practitioner help that does keep us on the right track. And thank you very much for those readings tonight.
Thank you. Amanda from Missouri, go ahead.
Thank you. Tonight I would like to share my gratitude to the practitioners and members of this church for the instruction on the practical application of Christian Science to our everyday situations. I did not have a strong understanding of this prior to finding this church. An example of this practical application happened earlier this summer when I was invited to attend a dinner with some extended family members. I usually avoid these gatherings due to anxiety, along with a feeling uncomfortable with what I would perceive to be an undercurrent of tension with some individuals in the family due to things that happened in the past, and that would just seem to heighten my own sense of anxiety. But before this particular dinner, I did something that I hadn't done before, and that was to prepare my thought to the best of my ability with what I am learning. I didn't want to just go in and hope for the best, but to claim God's presence and his power and his government of all of us that would be at that table. I worked with the article Radiation and Absorption, which is believed to have been written by Mrs. Eddy. And that article poses the question that we are to ask of ourselves, am I radiating good or am I absorbing evil? It further notes that, quote, by addressing the counteracting thought of spirit to whatever seems to be attacking you from mortal mind, you will set yourself free from bondage and render yourself the medium of demonstration for those blessings you so freely receive from the source of all good. I can attest firsthand to the impact this work had on the dinner. For the first time in many years, I felt free from the sense of dread or anxiety, and I was actually expecting good by the time I walked into the restaurant. When an anxious thought would come, I worked to the best that I could to stay alert and to radiate light and not absorb the evil thought, as the article instructs. This dinner was light-hearted, it was happy, there was constant laughter and a genuine sense of joy. Others noticed this and commented what a wonderful time they had. We even gathered around in the parking lot afterwards, talking for quite some time, as everyone seemed to want to prolong the night and didn't want it to end. I'm very thankful for this experience, and to me the best part is that not just I felt the sense of peace, but everyone did. No one was left out from this radiating light of God's love and his control, and that's the case in every situation, including this simple dinner gathering. I'm very grateful for this church, all of the members, the practitioners, our leader, Mrs. Eddy, and I thank you all for the testimonies tonight. They've been very moving, and also to Gary for those readings.
Thank you. Florence from Georgia, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful readings on justice. I love the story, and I often have to think about it.
Florence, perhaps your phone's on mute?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we got you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the readings tonight. They're beautiful. The story is so just beautiful. I often refer to it whenever there seems to be any sort of injustice. I'm so grateful to learn through Christian Science that even injustice can be corrected. if we think correctly. Some time ago at work, there seemed to be something going on that was so unjust. And I was very saddened by it for quite some time. I had just started to learn Christian Science then. So it was wonderful to know that I could correct my own thinking about the situation and bring it to a good close. So I started to think about God as the Almighty, the ultimate judge, one who knows all and does protect his own. Thinking this way, I started to think about whoever was the error was coming through, or whoever was causing the trouble, as God's idea also. I started to really know and overcome the resentment and the anger I had towards this person. I had the thought to go to the office and speak to the human resources person, and I did that. All the time knowing, though, that God is the ultimate judge, that his law of adjustment is in operation, and that he will bring this to pass. It wasn't too long before I was called back to the office, and the whole situation was solved. I am so grateful to God for this, because injustice is one of the things that one might think you are helpless when anything comes up to that effect. But it's wonderful to know that leaning on God alone, trusting that he does bring things to a perfect close, is just a wonderful thing. It was one of the wonderful things that I have learned through Christian Science, to live and to also be fair to others wherever it calls for. This is called for. I am so grateful that in doing so, I've become aware myself to treat other people fairly, to do as the Golden Rule says, and to know that if I live according to God's rule, the Golden Rule, then justice is always expected. So grateful to be here. Thanks for the beautiful testimonies so far, the music, the hymns, and I'm just happy to be here tonight.
Thank you. Mary.
I will read from our church website bulletin board, the first from Costa Rica. I'm very grateful for the Sunday, August 8th roundtable and service. Very inspiring. I feel that there are few places where the warfare with error is so conscientiously and constantly fought as in the Plainfield Church. It seems the hardest thing in the universe for us to realize that mind is all. It is our eternal substance and the only substance. There is nothing else, neither can there be. And then Pennsylvania. I wish to thank you for our calendar and the statements to uplift our thoughts each day. I know that I am not the only one who shares these gems firsthand and in notes and in letters. Thank you, Plainfield. And Wisconsin. Thank you for the daily watches. Week after week, these watches have been relevant and very helpful. And New Jersey, thank you for the citations explaining agree with thine adversary quickly on the carousel. Each statement explains the same thing with a different example so everyone can understand. They are clear and to the point. They can be used for every claim. Thank you. And then Massachusetts. I also purchased the book, The Ultimate Freedom, after hearing the testimonies about it, and am reading it now. It is wonderful. So far, I particularly like this quote. The battle is no longer with people and circumstances, but with false thinking, which was constantly being corrected and defeated by true thinking. And then this is an email, also from someone new, also from Massachusetts. I was wondering if I might be able to post some comments on your bulletin board occasionally. I'm not a member, but I love listening to your services and sometimes I wish to express my gratitude to the members. For instance, I enjoyed Fairley's Wednesday testimony readings. When she reads, she touches my heart. Also, I love the fact that you actually applaud for the singers and musicians. Whenever I've attended a church service, there is always silence after a solo, or when a beautiful piece of music is performed, and I always wondered why. The music brings so much joy and warmth. Why not be joyous and applaud? The members of the Plainfield Church Independent are truly beautiful, individualized reflections of love. The beauty of your organization cannot be expressed in words. All the members give a richness and a sincerity in their participation that I can feel spiritually. I have never experienced a church like yours. I feel so fortunate to have found you all. You really live Christian Science and not just talk about it. With gratitude. I am very grateful tonight for those powerful readings, the beautiful story of Esther, and how through prayer, deep prayer and consecration, she was able to do the right thing and overturn the wicked plot of Haman and save her people. Years ago, when we were involved in the law case, when we were sued by the BOD, Mrs. Evans, who was the practitioner in our church at that time, she gave us a watch message, and the watch message was, "The law of divine justice is in complete and full operation. The wicked shall not go unpunished." It was a very strong watch message, and it was one we used often, and I still use it. The claims of animal magnetism, they're often called aggressive. They seem to be aggressive, and Mrs. Eddy says we must be a terror to error. She says in the book, Watches, Prayers, and Arguments, the camp of a defeated enemy is always completely destroyed. We must destroy in our daily consciousness the motives and desires which feed mortal mind. It is most important that in dealing in any era, and it is always first in our own thought, our own consciousness, that it be completely destroyed. And that is all an era can ever do, is destroy itself. And as we work this way, we have a tremendous sense of the power of God and also the power of divine love, which wipes out any sense of hatred, fear, combativeness, revenge, any of those things. They dissipate in that glory of God Almighty. As we work together in unity, as you know, the end result was the wicked plots of the BOD were destroyed, and we won that law case, and we were able to raise all the money that we needed to pay our lawyers' fees. It was a tremendous victory, and I learned a tremendous lesson that you can't be nice to error, that we must all be a terror to error, and that doesn't mean we're not loving. It means we are extremely loving in the right sense of that word. So I'm so grateful to be here tonight to hear those powerful readings, the beautiful hymns, the heartfelt testimonies. It's a joy to be with you all, and I thank God for Mary Baker Eddy and for her giving us this wonderful way of life.
Thank you.